Good morning, class. How many of you are still having problems with your metric system? Knowing which one's the smallest, which one's the largest, and what each of those prefixes mean. Centi, deca, hecto, centi, a unit. What are all of those? Do you know what they are? Aiden, do you know what they are? Would you come up here and tell us? Would you help us and explain that for us? Tell them.
Millimeter equals 1/1000. Centimeter equals 1/100. Deci equals 1/10. The unit can be either meter, liters, or grams. Doesn't matter. Just whatever problem you're working on. Just that, yeah. And deca is 10. Hecto is 100, and kilo is 1,000.
Very, very good. Good job. That's exactly right. Look, you need to memorize milli, centi, deci, unit, deca, hecto, kilo. Now, as Aiden said, deca and deci, those are the ones that we tend to mix up because they both start with the D. Actually, they both start D-E-C, and one's an I and one's an A. So the smaller one's an I. Memorize this order just like Aiden has done and what they equal. When we say 1/1000th, we're saying it takes 1,000 millimeters, if this was meters, to make 1 meter. Or 1,000 milligrams would be 1 gram, right? 100 centigrams, it's 1 out of 100, right? It's 1/100th of a centigram or whatever. 1/10, it takes 10 of these. But these are bigger than a gram, or bigger than a meter, or bigger than a liter. So it takes 10 of these, grams or meters or liters, to make a decagram, or make a decaliter, or make a decameter. It takes 100 of these to make a hectometer, right? And it takes 1,000 kilometers. It takes 1,000 of these to make 1 kilometer, just like that. Understand? Let's practice some reducing. So Aiden, would you reduce these for us? And it's going to help those of you that are watching us right now. It's going to help you. I want to see if you know how to reduce these while he reduces them. Do you get the same answer that he does? Can you just stand here?
Okay, the first way to reduce is for you to figure out whether or not it's an improper fraction or a proper fraction.
Yeah, nice and loud.
The way to figure out that it's proper is if the larger number is on the bottom.
That's right.
If it was 4/8 here, that would be improper, and you have to change it to a mixed or whole number. But to do this, you just have to say how many times will 2 go into 10. It will go in 5 times with
Okay, so these you're thinking of improper, right? But these ones are proper. So if they are proper, so you're thinking of a different kind. If it were 10/2, you'd divide the 2 into 10, right? But these are proper, right? So could you just reduce it? Just reduce it. So remember what we talked about, how you take the what's the common factor for both of those and divide it by the same one.
2.
Right, so 2 goes into 2. That's right. There you go. You know how to do it now.
Okay.
All right, good job. All right, do you see what he did? He got the right answer. Can you see that all right on the board? Sometimes on the got to write hard. Remember, see it. Before you go on, turn this way, look. Do you see how he got that? He divided 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 10 is 5. That's how you reduce. You find the common factor that can go divide into both. And that's what he's done here. He picked 4. Now, what if he had picked 2? Oh, well, you might have had to reduce again. You want to pick the largest one that can divide into both, which in this case is 4, and he's right. 1/2 is the reduced fraction of 4/8. The reduced fraction of 5/15 is 1/3. 5 goes into 5 one time, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. So he's exactly right. Good job. Good job.
A little trick to knowing some of the easier fractions is if it's like one like where it's 5/10 or it's like 4/8 or like 6/12, it's always going to be 1/2. That's it.
That's right, because you know that that's half of the bigger number, right? All right, you started this one here. Go ahead and do those too. What's going on here? Oh, you know what? I wrote here.
Yeah, you did the same one.
Let's go back here. Decimal equivalent. 73/100 is the first one. Write the decimal equivalent. And you at home, see if you are getting the same thing. He wrote 0.73. Guess what? You're exactly right. Tenths, hundredths, right? Hundredths is 2 places. And I was telling Aiden the other day, you remember what the trick was to remembering how many places? How many zeros are there?
Yeah.
There's how many?
So basically, like 70. Okay, so here's how you would do this. If like, okay, so first you gotta put your decimal because the hundredths are all like the number's always on this side of the decimal, unless there's a whole number somewhere in there. And okay, so it's 73, and there's already 2 numbers, and you need to get 2 numbers to make it into the hundreds place. So this is the tenths place, this is the hundreds, and over here is thousands.
Good job. So 2.
So there's 2 zeros right here, and there's already 2 numbers, so this already equals 10 hundredths. 0.73 is the answer.
Yes, and you said what I was just about to say. There's 2 zeros, so there's 2 numbers past the decimal for hundredths, right? However many zeros there are, that's how many numbers there should be in the decimal when you go from fraction to decimal. All right, do the next one. Oh, remember, we're doing decimal. So all of these will be decimal. So don't think, you're right, that's not reduced, and you were reducing it. But let's just do the decimal equivalent. And that is right. Can you see that all right on the board at home? But just try to write dark so that they can see it.
I'm not good with chalk.
It's correct. Good. Next.
If you ever seen one that's like 0.2, it's like 2/10 or 7/10, then just go ahead and put a decimal and write 7, because 7 is like, or just go ahead and write decimal and put the top number, because it's always just that.
Look at the numerator, right?
Yes, because it's in the 10th place with only 1 number.
Right. So that one's easy.
Okay, this one is where it gets a little bit tricky. 7 100ths. So only 7's at the top, and we need 2 numbers. So just add a placeholder, 0.07.
0.07.
And if it was 1,000, you would add 2 placeholders to make the 7 and the 1,000.
We need
place.
2 places, so we have to put a 0 in front. Not a 0 behind, but a 0 in front. Right. Next.
Oh, this is how you do it. 0.007.
Good. We need 3 numbers past the decimal to express 7/1000ths. So there's 3 zeros there. There's 3 numbers there. So you have to add 2 more to make 3 numbers after the decimal point. And let's see. Do I need to move the camera just a little bit so we can see the last one? All right. Can you fit that last one? If you can't fit it there, just write it below it. Can you write that as a decimal? 5 2/5. Absolutely. Okay. Let me change that. Let me change that too, because we might not have that one memorized yet.
It would have been 5.3, right?
Let's do that. 5 2/10. Let's change it to that. So for now.
That one would have been 5.3 though, right?
We'll go over that in a minute. 5 2/10.
Okay, so the whole number just stays.
So just write it. What do you get now?
5.2.
Good. Can everyone see that? 5.2. 5 2/10. One number past the decimal is exactly right. Good job. There's one more thing I want us to review, and that is multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions. Aiden, do you think you can do this one? 4/8 times 4 1/2.
Yes, we have a mixed number right here, 4 1/2. So the way to change a mixed number to a whole number or a different fraction is to look at the bottom number and then multiply it by the whole number. And then add that. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1 is 9, and then you keep the bottom number.
All right.
So now we have 4 8s over 9 over 9 halves.
So rewrite it, showing it. Good
4 8s times 9
job.
halves. Okay. Now we have to cross cancel multiply. 4 and 8.
Okay, hold on a second. You did 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is the 9. So you wrote the 9 there. And what's the denominator? That's okay.
I'm not dumb.
You knew it. You knew it.
Yeah, I knew it.
So
I just messed up.
I do that sometimes where I was thinking the right thing, I just wrote the wrong thing.
Okay. So now we have these numbers. 2 and 4 can go into evenly. So the 2 goes into the 2 once, and the 4 goes into the 2 times. So now we have 2 times 9, which is 18. Now we have 8 times 1, which is 8.
18 over 8.
And this can be reduced.
First of all, ask yourself, is it proper or improper?
This is an improper fraction because the lower number is on the bottom, not the top.
And how many of you, where you got to 18 over 8 for your answer, and then you just went on to the next problem, and you did not fix this, and then you got it wrong?
Okay.
Has that happened? So what do we have to do so that we don't get it wrong?
Okay, the way to reduce an improper fraction is to look at the bottom number and see how many times that will go into the top number. So 8 will go into the top number 18 2 times, because 16. So what's 2? With how many left over? 2.
Let's do this. Let's erase all this so that there's room. 8 goes into 18. How many whole times?
2.
So write it.
It will, and how many do you have left over after that? So 8 will go into 2 times, which ends up with 16. But we need 18, so there's 2 left over.
There's 2 more, but hold on. You're getting ahead of yourself. That's a whole number, right? Now we need a fraction with a whole number. Because we're going to change to a mixed number, right? Go ahead.
Okay.
So we had 16, right? It goes 2 times to make 16.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's 2 left over, right? So make a fraction.
I'm confused.
It's always harder when you go to the board and everybody's watching, right? Okay, no, just write a fraction right there, right next to the whole number. That's our whole number. Now write a fraction.
But what fraction?
How many's left over? That's the numerator. And what's the denominator? No, the denominator's the same. There we go. Write the denominator. Now, is that our final answer? This one was a little harder.
That can still be reduced, though.
Right. So rewrite it, reducing it.
Okay. Well, now it's a proper fraction. So
It's a proper fraction, right? Reduce it. 2 8s can be reduced to what? Good job. Now rewrite the whole thing all together. This is how I want you to do it too.
carry over the whole number.
Good. Now circle your final answer. Did you see how he rewrote it? See how you work it? Oh, and then that could be reduced. and then rewrite it one more time with the reduced fraction next to the whole number and circle it. And he did a super job. This one was a little harder of a problem because you had a number of steps in order to arrive at the right answer. So super job, Aiden. I hope you learned something today. If you did, click like on the video. And you take care, remembering how you remember your metric system.
Hashtag subscribe.
That's right. Aiden, is there anything else you'd like to tell everyone?
Hashtag subscribe.
Come here. Come here.
Hashtag subscribe.
All right. You take care and learn something new every day.
Is it still on?
Yeah.
Aw.
Okay, so that's our review for the day.
I was gonna tell them to go blow up John's YouTube.